Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, kind of like when we were at the spring game, we talked basketball at the Jones. Yes, we're here at the USA with the Walmart behind us. We've been talking basketball. Now we're going to talk football, and it's all about the transfer portal and how these rosters are rounding into shape, so to speak. And I got to say, Texas Tech, what they've done is quite impressive. Clearly coming out of the winter transfer portal window, I mean, they had done an amazing job. Got to see a lot of those guys throughout spring and then in the spring game that they added, but they didn't rest on their laurels. They made some key acquisitions, really three of them, I guess, if you count Micah Hudson, which finally he announced he's committing. That he committed and he's here. It counts in the rankings, so we're going to mention it. But two other guys additions, and I think to me it was like the coaches are seeing the same thing I saw. I still had concerns about offensive line. I think I even talked to you about it in the press box, and I was worried about receiver depth. Yeah. And what did they do? They go out and get Cash Cleveland, a freshman All-American for Colorado. He was the walk-on who ended up starting the final four games for Colorado, including the win over Tech here in Lubbock. And, several publications had him as a freshman All-American, including 24/7 Sports. It helps that interior offensive line, maybe even at center. And then Roy Alexander, a guy coming over from Incarnate Word, who, I talked to him. He was really excited about the plans in terms of how Texas Tech plans to use him in the slot and as a punt return possibly. He'll be in the mix there. A guy who caught 100 passes for almost 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns last season in a very similar offense. So, Mike Joe, what are your thoughts on those three guys being added to me, were clearly like the glaring needs in terms of depth and overall rounding those position groups in the shape?
Yeah, with Alexander, you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key here. He's a possession guy. I believe more of a possession type of receiver. I expect he's probably going to play more inside than outside.
Yes.
Probably going to be the plan there. But he's just, another chain mover, another guy you can roll in there, a quality depth piece. And who's to say he couldn't start some too? I mean, that's not out of the question. This gives you more numbers there. I think that receiver overall, I still have a little bit of a question about deep speed and guys stretching the field a little bit. Like Aiken could do some of that.
Caleb Douglas for sure
do some of that. But will they be able to do it enough to sort of loosen up that defense? You don't want your receiving core to be slow enough that they can start creeping up towards the line of scrimmage and kind of constrict your running game and short passing attack, everything like that. So to me, that's sort of still a little bit of an issue with receiver. But yes, another really, really solid piece added to that group. Cash Cleveland. I mean, suddenly center becomes a team strength.
Yeah.
You've got a returning starter, Sheridan Wilson, and then you got another guy, a freshman All-American. It's going to be, I think, an open competition between those two guys, and they're both good enough to start, obviously. And I think this helps you with guard as well.
Yes.
Vinny Scurry coming back from an injury. This is a little bit of insurance. Yeah. In case he's a little bit slow on the mend there, so Cleveland can play those guard positions as well. It's not out of the question that Cleveland and Wilson could both start.
Yeah.
There at some point. Bottom line is that you've added another starter, Big 12 starter to your offensive line, and that makes a big difference. And naturally, you add to the overall numbers you have up front, which that's depth. That's more guys you can roll in and out. So all in all, a heck of an addition this late in the game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if they were necessarily going but we need another offensive lineman. It was kind of like, I like the Sheridan Wilson, his progression. I know they had even said throughout spring he's improved, but I think it was like Cash Cleveland became available. He's a Texas native. They said, hey, let's jump on it. This makes us better. No matter how the depth chart shakes out, I think Texas Tech said, getting this guy makes us better. And I really like what you said about Roy Alexander at receiver, because you look at Caleb Douglas. I don't think I have as much of the concerns as you do in terms of stretching the field. I think it's worth noting. I think Caleb Douglas is he is that guy. And all three of those guys got hurt in minor injuries, are all expected back by June, next month, and it'd be full go, fall camp and all that. But it kind of showed, I think, the lack of experience and depth. the Kelby Valsons, the TJ West of the world. Like, they have potential, but after making all these investments, improving the roster, do you really want to be 1 or 2 injuries away where it's like we're rolling out some noobs, with the season on the line? Because clearly, the goal is to go to the Big 12 championship and win it. So I think that's where they went with Alexander, because they have, like, you look at Reggie Virgil, who I really like, who might be a potential stretch the field kind of guy with his, the jump ball available to him and Caleb Douglas. I think, like you said, Coy Aiken kind of showed that he was more of a deep threat than I was expecting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those guys are all similar in that 6'4", 6'5", Caleb Douglas and Reggie Virgil on the outside. Really good one-on-one matchup nightmares. And then Coy Aiken, he's not as tall as those guys, but he has just a wider frame. He's a similar kind of guy. You have 3 similar kind of guys. You need those quick squat, guys that you can just throw the ball out in the flat, make a guy miss, and the yak, and that's what you get with Alexander. And he's 5'11", 200 pounds, so he's built like a little tank. You know what I mean? I love that. So my question to you, though, going back to receiver, is what's your take on Micah in terms of him coming back? Like, are you, like, for me, he's like cherry on top in terms of next season. He has the potential, and if he handles his business, he has to be available, first off, healthy and available, and he has to put in the work. But if given an opportunity, I mean, he could make a difference. I'm not just saying there's no way he makes a difference, but I'm curious what you think about, like, I don't even know where Michael will play. He's played outside, he's played inside. I'm curious what you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, to be anything that they get from Micah Hudson is going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting much from him because, he came in, obviously, with all this hype as a freshman. Didn't see the field a whole lot.
Nope.
When he got on the field, he did some good things, but he also had some drops.
Yep.
And then there's all this drama that surrounds him about transferring here, transferring there.
Yeah.
And so that just raises a warning flag or two.
Sure.
About, where this guy's head is at.
Yeah.
And, to play at this level and to really contribute, it's not enough just to be talented. You've got to be solid from the neck up as well. He's reasonably solid.
Right.
So that's, I do definitely have some question marks. It's not going to hurt to bring him in. Most likely, I mean, if there's some sort of a problem, say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
But, I mean, clearly he does have some ability. It's a position of arguably some need, although less with Alexander added. It doesn't hurt to take a flyer on him again, and we'll see what happens. But, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm not expecting a great deal.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing, kind of like we did a previous video about basketball. We're looking at this roster. I mean, number 2 transfer class, we're at 24/7 Sports by a decimal point. Most of the other publications have it as the top transfer class, added to what the guys they brought back. Where do you think this roster sits in terms of having an ability to make it to the Big 12 championship? Because that's really where the program's going to be judged. That's kind of like what we're looking at. That is the main storyline of next season. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of basic talent, there's not a better roster in the Big 12.
Yeah.
There's not. The ability is there. The talent is there. The pieces are there. All these additions. It's up to the coaches now to put all the pieces together, to learn their personnel. I mean, you've got an awful lot of new guys that you got to learn about, and you got to learn kind of on the fly a little bit.
New coordinators too.
New coordinators, yeah. So I mean, there's a little bit of dislocation there. So you've got to get things together quickly. Now, obviously, with that weak non-conference schedule going in, that's going to give you maybe that's a little bit of a blessing in disguise for the team, because it does allow you to sort of adjust and get people into their roles.
Yeah.
And then and then another thing you always have to be concerned with a little bit is team chemistry.
Sure.
How that's all going to work out with all these new guys. Lots of big egos coming in, making big money.
Yeah.
And what is the dynamic there? So these are the question marks. But I mean, to me, in terms of basic talent, this is a Big 12 title team. And it's just a case of making it actually happen.
Yeah, I'm curious about Baron Morton. He started back throwing, posted some stuff on social media. He changed his body, really worked on that. And I think McGuire said he had a dad bod before. Now he looks like a big-time college quarterback. And I asked him, like, why did you get the surgery? What was the goal? I said, it's maybe an obvious question. And he said, I thought it was going to be more about his throwing motion and all that. But he said, actually, because he wants, he was an athlete. We saw him play at least one game in a high school. And I know it's different. He played in a small school. But, I mean, even when he started, but coming into, when he actually started playing at Texas Tech, really his strength was getting out of the pocket, making things happen with his legs. And he's had to curtail that to protect his injury and everything. And he told me he wants to let it loose. He wants to be able to run some, which I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, clean up the arm and all that, So that's going to be interesting to watch. And his performance, obviously, at the all-important quarterback position is going to be, very interesting. Should be a better offensive line. I think he has good weapons. I like the running back room, I think, more than most. So, I mean, a lot of pressure on Barrett, but, he's proven himself as a winner, and he's tough. And I'm very interested to see how he performs next fall.
Yeah, I expect good things from him. I mean, he really made a believer out of me last year. I mean, he was playing a little bit banged up, but he played better late in games in tight situations. The classic gamer type of a quarterback, got an awful lot of intangibles.
Yeah,
and I love to see that. Good leader, teammates like him.
Yeah.
He's got all that going for him, and yes, he does have some skill. I mean, he can sling the ball around, and as you said, has some ability to make some plays with his feet as well. So there's a good package there, and I think he could be, from a national standpoint, flying a little bit below the radar.
Yeah.
And he may surprise people, turn out to be a better quarterback than people expect.
All right. Well, I think we covered it, Mighty Joe. Great stuff from you as always. Really appreciate y'all watching.